Welcome into the 7-round mock draft for the New England Patriots. Look, never mind the Dolphins gear behind me. I am a Dolphins fan, I admit it, but I hold no ill will. You guys have just been a dynasty for 20 freaking years, and then you had a couple years where you were as bad as the Dolphins have been for my entire lifetime. And now I'm going to help you get better because you got Vrabels, and I live in Tennessee, and I know how great Vrabels is. And I think it's going to be good. All right, so look. Fan of the Patriots for the next however long this video is. Let's go ahead and get into it. 7-round mock draft coming your way. All right, and looking at how this played out, and I'm just going to tell you right now, this is how I think it's going to go. I think we got Cam Ward at number 1. I think Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter go 2, 3, depending on the order. I don't know. This feels realistic. Do both of these teams pass on Shedeur Sanders? I think so. Now, both of these teams are in play to trade back up for him later in the draft. I think this is how the draft actually goes. And it is kind of the worst case scenario for the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots fans have probably seen mocks where, yeah, obviously Shedeur Sanders either goes to the Browns or the Giants, and the best one of the top 2 non-quarterbacks falls to them. That's a great draft. If that's what happens, that's awesome. This is the nightmare scenario. Not nightmare. You got the 4th pick in the draft. You're going to get a good player, but it definitely could have been better if one of those guys did fall to you. With that said, where do we go? I have a take, and I think this is Mimbo. I think this is the tackle out of Missouri all day. This dude, I think, can be a star left tackle in the NFL. I think he has the highest upside. I think you take a shot on him. Now, is it going to be perfect? Probably not. But to me, this is the best tackle in the NFL in the draft. This is a pure tackle. I mean, Will Campbell is an awesome prospect. He's probably a guard at the next level, realistically. Maybe he can move over to tackle, but he's probably a guard. This is the best pure tackle in this class by far. I obviously you can go other ways with it. There's the Ashton Genty effect. It's interesting. Obviously, you have Vrabels there who, he ran on his Derrick Henry running back for years on his Derrick Henry. That was a really weird way to put it. But obviously Derrick Henry was a big part of the offense. He ran an offense through the running game. Ashton Genty's a damn good option. He's not going to, in real life, he doesn't fall out of the top 10. I don't think at all. I think the Bears are his absolute floor, and then his second floor is like the Cowboys at the absolute farthest. And really, I think his ceiling is the Patriots. I think he could go here. This is a real possibility. You're never taking a wide receiver. Tet McMillan, at least for me, not a top 10 guy at all, not really even a top 15 guy, but in this class, maybe he sneaks in there. I'm not putting him in that spot. So where do you go? I think we just take the offensive lineman. I don't think there's a team that's going to want to trade up. If there was ever a trade-up option, the way this draft fell, take it. Get me out of there. Let's move down. But in this spot, we're going to take Mimbo. We're going to take, in my opinion, the best player at a major need that isn't running back, and we're going to run with it. All right, 38th overall. So if we look at wide receiver, we have Stephon Diggs and then kind of nothing else that's solid. There's obviously we had a couple wide receivers drafted last year. Maybe Vrabels can get the most out of them. Maybe they develop. I'm not putting my eggs in the Polk basket or the Baker basket or any, we're not going to stress. I'm not going to operate under them being a relevant piece of the puzzle. Stephon Diggs, way overpaid, but you kind of had to go get him. You had to have something, and while he's not the guy he was 3-4 years ago, he's still going to be a good route runner, underneath guy, going to be able to be kind of your target hog and be a good outlet guy for Drake May. Now, I think a Jaden Higgins makes a lot of sense here. Has some inside-outside versatility, good speed, good explosiveness, great ball skills. If he had a quarterback that could throw outside the numbers, he would have been a dog. He'd be probably drafted in the first round because you'd see him catch so much. He just blow by defenders on the outside. And, the quarterback just couldn't get it close to him. Couldn't get it in the area code. It was wild. Jaden Higgins, I think, could be a real compliment, a real piece to that puzzle. This is your true, he has a chance to be a true number 1 in the NFL. I'm going to sit here and tell you, I think I like Trey Harris a little bit more. Higgins is ranked higher pretty much across the board. I'm probably on the outside looking in of that take. So I'm going to take the guy I think who's just more realistic to go in this range. Patriots absolutely have to go wide receiver. So we're going to take the wide receiver here, and then we're going to look. We might go wide receiver again. We probably will go wide receiver again at some point. We're here in the third round. We have 2 picks in the third round. A lot of places we could go. There's still some defensive depth. We added a ton of names on the defensive side of the ball. Harold Landry. We got Milton from the Eagles. We got the corner from the Bucks. Carlton Davis. Yes. Sorry, I had to look it up. Yes. So we added a lot of pieces. I'm not sitting here like they spent a ton of money in free agency. They plugged some holes on the defensive side of the ball. To me, that doesn't mean I'm not willing to kind of go wherever I want with this pick. And I'm going to look at the defensive line spot, and really just because like we're going to run out of names. The thing is, like, we have to get one in the third round. Shamir Turner, he can play all across the defensive line. I think he can be very multiple. Does he fit what the Vrabels likes to do? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a great fit. I can't think of anybody that he really represents that was, on the Titans or really what the Patriots ever done. This isn't the type of guy that they would draft. The type of guy they would draft is Jordan Phillips. We can wait until 77 to still get Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips, just big space eater. He's going to be able to two-gap. He's going to be able to do all the things that, the Patriots are famous for loving from their defensive tackles. Let your linebackers fly through the holes and let Jordan Phillips plug them. That's that type of guy. I think that would be my target for the Patriots in this range. Obviously, passed on interior in the second round. Ton of names in the second that you could have gone if you wanted to wait on wide receiver. So we're going to go that. I'm going to pencil him in for our pick 77. We have 2. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at running back and wide receiver. Let's put those two positions on the board. Man, we still have some names at both spots. Okay, this is tough. This is tough because, like, is it crazy to just draft both wide receivers? Jalen Noel's still here. Obviously, we can go down the line. Kyle Williams is still going to be there. Dylan Sampson, to me, there's a huge tier gap between Dylan Sampson and any of the other running backs. So let's take the wide receivers off the board. We just drafted one. It's probably silly to go wide receiver. We're going to address it again later in the draft, but we'll add a second, third tier type guy. Look, there's a ton of second round running backs that are going to go off the board. They're going to fly off the board. To me, Dylan Sampson is a second round. Like, he's in that tier for me, and I really believe that. I think he's going to be for a lot of people. He's a name that's just not talked about enough in this whole cycle. He's a stud. He's absolutely in the same ballpark as Judkins, Henderson, Scatabo, Kyle Johnson out of Iowa State. Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton's kind of put himself in that late first round conversation. The rest of those guys are kind of, seems like going second, but who knows how it's actually going to fall. Omarion Hampton could absolutely fall out of the first round. Wouldn't bet on it, but I think it's possible. Those 5 names, and then there's Dylan Sampson. That's kind of it to me, is definitely in the mix. I think we take him. Let's go ahead and add a real piece at running back. Let's add a guy who can be the workhorse back, and obviously we have some names on the roster that can fill in. But this is going to be a difference maker. This is going to be a dude. And then with that, we're going to go ahead and take Jordan Phillips. Like I already talked about, I already kind of broke down the Jordan Phillips take. Wanted to add another piece on that interior defensive line. And now, guys, we just get to have fun with it, man. And look, there's enough needs on the roster that we can kind of go a lot of different ways. Damian Martinez, if you could have told me and guaranteed me he's available in the 4th round, I probably wait on running back and take Damian Martinez. The difference between Damian Martinez and Dylan Sampson, it's good. It's wide, but it's not that big. And then again, like I said, I thought there was a drop-off in the 3rd round. I would argue there's a drop-off here. I would argue Damian Martinez is just a battering ram. He's a first, second down running back that I think can kind of do it all. He has some pass catching ability, but it's not elite by any means. I think he has 3 down potential, and he's definitely between the tackles, really, really talented runner. Got a draft profile coming out pretty soon on him. Not sure if this video is going to drop or if that video is going to drop first. Recording a lot of videos all at once, so we'll see how that goes. But big fan of his. I think he got a ton of talent. Again, I'm just giving you names. The Patriots are absolutely going to draft a running back and with a valuable pick in this draft. So want to give you the guys that I feel like have a shot to go to the Patriots. And this is a name. This is a Vrabel's pick. This would make a lot of sense. What I really want to do is I want to draft you guys a difference maker, right? I feel like we've addressed wide receiver in the second. I really think they could go wide receiver again. Secondary is a question. At 106, what secondary player are we getting that really moves the needle a whole lot? Like, we got some guys that could develop and could be depth pieces, and that's great, but man, this isn't the range of the draft where we're adding stars. We can wait until the 5th. We got, what, 2 picks in the 5th? We got a pick in the 5th that I think this range is pretty good for these type of guys, these type of players. Billy Bowman Jr. would be somebody I think probably goes in this range ultimately. Smaller safety, but he's, got the instincts and got the football IQ and, played for a really great defensive coordinator who's a head coach now, obviously. Let's look at wide receiver. And look, this is where I think Isaiah Bond could go. Isaiah Bond is a really, really interesting name for me. Look, I think he's a little bit more of a gadget receiver, but he's explosive as hell. He's fast as hell. You want to add that element. I mentioned it a little bit in the when I was looking at Higgins, that I was thinking about other names other than Higgins because I did want to add the explosiveness. And then that brings me to Kyle Williams. This feels like his floor. Like, I don't think he falls any farther than this. Kyle Williams is probably going to go off the board a little bit before this, but I think we might take him. I know PFF has him a 160. I think he's a difference-making wide receiver. I think he's an explosive wide receiver. I think if he's here, you take him, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take him over the Isaiah Bond pick just to kind of play it out, just to have a little bit of fun with it. I think if I would have waited any longer, I just wouldn't even consider him on the board. That's how not falling far into the day 3 that he is. He's not going to be there late day 3. I don't think so. All right, back to it. Let's look and see, did we get any of these corners and safeties that fell? Bowman Jr. is not there. That's fine. Look, we didn't have to address safety. We still got Jabril Peppers. He's what, the 2017 draft? Is that right? You got the guy drafted 3rd round. I'm blanking on where he came out of, but 3rd round, 2023, Mumba, whatever his name is, who's had some time. So you got some names on the back end. I'm not worried about safety. Would like to add another corner. We added Carlton Davis. I'd like to add a piece to the depth. We're in that range of the draft. We're not drafting starters anymore. We're drafting depth guys. I think Denzel Burks makes a lot of sense for me. I really like him. Look, a lot of names we could go here, but we're going to take Denzel Burke, high floor guy who didn't really hit his total complete potential in college, and it's definitely brought him down the board. I think 5th round is his range. It's probably where he should go. He's a good player. I think he's gonna stick onto the back end of a roster for years. I think he'll play for like 6-7 years in the league. I really do. Maybe never a star, but a good back end of the roster. Probably his high. Like, his ceiling in the NFL is probably a cornerback 2, I'm okay with that. Let's draft a cornerback 2 in the 5th round. Let's do that. I'm good with that. And I think he would fit. He's still big. He's got the size that I think the Patriots are going to like. And now we are falling all the way down to the beginning of the 7th round. We got 2 picks at the start of the 7th round. Man, where do we want to go with this? I think let's add a little bit. Look, we added Dylan Sampson, who's your classic 5'11", 210, explosive as hell. He's fast as shit. Classic NFL running back build. Let's add an Ollie Gordon here, who's size, and obviously he's a popular name. Was expected to be the top running back in this class. Had a pretty horrendous final season of college football. And I've done a draft profile on him. I broke him down as well. You can check that out. But he's a good player. I think he's going to fit into a roster. He's going to fit into a role. This might be a role that the Patriots already have on the roster, but I don't think he's going to be there for much longer. Big, physical, going to be great on the goal line type of guy. Can he get back what he had his sophomore season? If he could have come out, he couldn't. He couldn't come out yet. But if he could have come out then, he would have been probably the top running back drafted in last year's class. We're getting a huge steal, and hopefully he has some value here. Oh, and we have another pick later on, so we'll consider that. Where do we want to go here? Look, this is the range where I try not to overthink it. What I'll do is I'll actually start to overthink it and then remind myself, wait, I don't have to overthink this. It doesn't really matter the names. I'm really more worried about position. Where do we want to add some depth? Interior offensive line. We didn't address offensive line again in this draft. I think that's probably not realistic, but I really just wanted to add some weapons for Drake May, and we added a ton of them. I wanted to add some pieces on the defense. We added some good ones. Really, this was an offensive draft. We addressed the defense mostly in free agency, added a couple pieces on defense, but mostly offensive draft. Let's add another one. Let's just add a guard. We'll add this one. Just interior offensive lineman. There's nothing wrong with taking a shot on guys like this in this range. And then let's go ahead and add a linebacker. Let's add a linebacker. Again, it's more position. It's more, I'm just interested in adding a full array of positions. Obviously, that linebacker room's a little light. They added Robert Spillane in free agency, but that's about it. So, again, linebacker is one of those positions that I don't stress too much. Adding one late, just a guy who hopefully can make it on the back end of the roster. That's kind of the thought process there. But looking at this draft class, I think if the Patriots get this, it's not the best case scenario, just because the reality is if the draft starts the way it did for this mock, Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, it's already not the best case scenario for the Patriots. Everything after that is just, okay, well, we didn't get one of the top 2 guys in the class. And it changes everything. It really does, because getting the tackle in the first round means we can grab the wide receiver in the second. But if we would have grabbed either the wide receiver or the defensive lineman in the first round, it changes kind of everything down the line. This feels like the most realistic possibility to me. Dylan Sampson in the third, I absolutely love. I really do. I think he's a second-round talent. I think he's a gem in this class. He's one of my guys. I think he's one of the best players in this class, running backs in this class specifically. And, yeah, great player. Kyle Williams, look, I don't think he falls here. PFF is wrong. Their grade's just wrong. I don't know that he's going to be there, but that feels like the absolute floor, and I just went ahead and took it. If I would have waited on receiver and gone a different position and he was still there with the 5th-round pick, I just wouldn't have considered it, because it's just not realistic, and I wouldn't have played it out like that. And again, I don't know how realistic this is. This draft is going to be crazier than most, because there's just the variety of the way teams are going to value these guys. And like I said, there's from player 15 to player 65, the grades are going to be this far apart. Like, that's how big the kind of middle is for this class. So who knows? And that's going to affect kind of every team. But this is a good exercise. I think we see a lot of names that I think would have a big role. I think we're getting into the 5th round before we get to a guy who I don't immediately expect to start, or at least have a big role at their position early on in their career. So, yeah, I like this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Really, if you're watching this on, it means a whole lot. Like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. This is a draft channel. I do a lot of draft stuff, and this is just one piece of it. Really enjoyed talking about the Patriots. I am done rooting for the Patriots draft. I'm going back to being a Dolphins fan and being a sad person inside. All right, guys, I am kidding. But, hey, for real, thank you so much for watching. Peace.